heel of his shoe to drive it into the ground. He took a deep breath and filled his lungs with the cool night air. Then he turned back the way he'd come and ran. From his post in the old barn, Gavril trained his binoculars on the Chinese man and watched his quick, economical movements. Sen was fast. He held the dead drop spike in his hands for less than 20 seconds before it was back in the dirt and he was sprinting away. Gavril pushed himself up from the floor and brushed the hay from the elbows of his sweater. Now he had a decision to make. Did he intercept Sen and take the paper from his right front pocket, remove the item Sen had deposited in the spike, or wait to see who came to get it, getting a bead on Sen's contact? Back when he'd worked for the agency, it would have been a no-brainer. Identify Sen's contact. Anyone Sen had turned was already vulnerable and could be a wealth of information, or, even more valuable, a prospective double agent. But, Gavril reminded himself, he didn't work for the agency anymore, and he hadn't been hired to turn a Chinese spy. He also hadn't been hired to tail Sen, although doing so made his work easier. But he knew where to find Sen. He could keep his paper, for now. Decision made, he crept out of the barn and stepped in among the tall rows of corn. The soft swish of corn stalks giving way as he brushed past them was covered by the whisper of the wind. Like a shadow, he wound his way through the corn. When he reached the last row, he cut a fast diagonal line to the fenced-in pasture. At the third post from the left, he dug the spike out of the ground. Still crouching, he uncapped it and removed a tissue that had been folded into a small, thick square, as if an elementary school kid had lost a tooth at lunchtime and was keeping it safe inside until he could slip it under his pillow. He unfolded the tissue to reveal a smooth item roughly the size and shape of a baby tooth. But this was no pearly white. It was a single, pale yellow seed. Gavril allowed himself a small smile before he removed a tiny plastic bag, the type that held extra buttons for a jacket, from his pocket. He shook a darker yellow seed out of the bag and dropped the one from the spike into it. After carefully resealing the bag, he returned it to his pocket. Then he wrapped his replacement seed in Sen's tissue, stuffed it into the spike, and jabbed the spike into the ground. Only then did he return to standing. He cracked his back, stiff from the hours of surveillance, then rolled his neck. He jammed his hands into his pockets and walked along the berm of the road, the binoculars bouncing on the strap hung around his neck. He strolled at a casual pace, just an owl lover, out for his nightly nocturnal walkabout, hoping to catch a glimpse of a great horned owl, a barn owl, or maybe, if he was very lucky, a snowy white. Chapter 2. Chicago, Illinois, Monday afternoon. Bodhi King closed his eyes for just a moment after he settled in the back of the cab. He'd left the hotel in Quebec City well before dawn to make the day's first flight to Toronto, only to encounter a delay on the second leg. After a long, unexplained wait, the prop plane took off for Chicago nearly 2 hours late. He'd been traveling for 10 hours by this point and yearned for a still, quiet moment. The driver had other plans. "You in town for business or pleasure?" He opened his eyes. "Just passing through. I'm meeting a friend for lunch, then heading to Onata." In the rearview mirror, he could see the cab driver furrow his forehead. "Onata, huh? Never heard of it. What's there?" "Mainly cornfields," Bodhi told him, unsurprised that a Chicagoan had no familiarity with the postage-stamp town just about 90 minutes due south. "But there's also a monastery. I'm going for a retreat." "A retreat? You a monk?" No. He wasn't a monk, just someone in need of 7 days of silence to clear his mind.